Hi guys, welcome back. Last time we were doing the dynamic part of the website. We did a connection string, but unfortunately lost sound, so I couldn't post the whole tutorial because there was no sound. So this tutorial will just continue where we left so that we finish the part of getting the information from the database. Then later we'll see how we can add information to the database using the user interface. If you remember very well, last time we made this connection string, so that we're connecting to our database, which is school website, and this is our database here, the school website database. All right, so we're connecting to that database using this connection string. We kept this connection string here in this folder called connection string. So this is the connection string. Okay, so we lost sound when we're making the functions file where it will contain all our logic about getting information from the database and later put information to the database. So it's like it's acting like a middleman between the user interface and the database. So whatever we need to get in the database, we have to go through this file that we'll implement. And at the same time, the database to communicate to the user interface, it has to use this file. So open this. This is where we left. If you haven't watched part one of the dynamic part, please go through part one because this is just a continuation of the first part. So first of all, we need to include the connection string. So it's include ones. Okay. So we need to go out this folder. But doing that, then we go to the connection string folder. Connection underscore string. Connection string. Let me just verify. Yeah, connection underscore string. Okay, so we get into that folder connection underscore string, then we're looking for connect.php. Connect.php. All right, that is done. So now we need to create a class that we use to get information from the database. First of all, we need to get the information about the school. If you can see here, we need to pull out this information from the database. As of now, this information is static. Let me go to the file. This is index.php. So at the moment, this is the information. It's hard coded here. It's saying welcome to Visual School, what not. So we don't want this because every time we need to update this, we need to manually come on this file and edit. But we want things to be kept in the database so that we have to pull that information from the database. So we need to get that information, which is in this table called about Visual School. Basically, we need to get this row number 2, this row ID where it's saying welcome to Visual School, blah, 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 etc. with the image there. For us to do that, let us create a class so that all things relating to that school information should be in that class. So I'll say class, I'll call this class school info. Yeah, because it will contain all information about the school. Okay. So our class is school info. Now, before we pull the information from the database, we need to initiate the connection string. So for me to do that, write the constructor here. So this will be the first function to run before anything else. So we utilize this to get to make a connection to a database. So everything to do with the connection, the first thing you have to connect to the database before getting information from it. So for me to do that, a good practice, we have to put a try catch there just in case there's something wrong. Something wrong happens. We should trap it. So we use that try catch block. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to make a connection. So say this using the same class. I'll say connect. You can give it in a name there. So initiate the class. I'll say new connection. New connection. Okay. Remember this connection. This new connection is the class that we launch in connect.php. Is this class. Now initiating this class to have an object that we use for connection. So initiating this class, that's why here we're saying new connection, because we're referring to this connection. After this, we have to get the right function that we need under that class, so which is make connection. Okay, so do that. So say this connect, and I'll say is equal to sign that is equal to this connect, then the function name make connection. This is the function that we load that was making the connection to the database. So this is a function make connection. Okay, so do that. Okay, so what if there is a problem? We need to catch it, so we use the Pdo exception. Okay, okay, do that. Then we need to echo something if something happens. So I'll just say error connecting to database. So since we're in production, we can display the actual error so that it helps us to troubleshoot. But when we're getting this on live, we don't need to put these messages so that the user shouldn't view this message. So we utilize the function get message. That's it. Okay, so now this will make connection to the database. Now after it makes connection to the database, we need to get our information from that table or school. From this table about Visual School, now we're looking for this row number 2 here. To do that, we need to get a function that will do that for us. So we say public function, let's say get about Visual School. Yeah, let's just give it that. You can give it any name on the function name, but it has to be meaningful so that someone who's going through your code should understand what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so we're getting that information. So this information, let's put the sign available get about Visual School. You can give it any other. So we're saying this using that connection top here, that object. This connect. Then we saying this we should do a prepared statement. We prepare, so as PDO we use prepared statements. So in the prepared statement now we have to select our columns that we need. So we need to select the ID, the title, content, and YouTube link. I think this was a bad naming. We should have just said link because it is containing YouTube link at the same time a link to images. So I think the name was bad, but we just use that for now. But you can rename this to just link. It will make sense. So let me get this information. So ID, title, content, YouTube link. So I'll say select. So I'll select ID from that table. I'll select title. I'll select content. And I'll select the YouTube link. YouTube _ link. From From which table are we selecting this? We're selecting this from above Visual School. Let me just verify. Yeah, we're selecting from this table. Since we have a number of tables here, so we're just selecting from that table above Visual School. Above Visual School. But now we have to filter out, since we're saying we need only the row number 2. We don't need the first one, but we need the second one. So we'll say where ID is equal to. So we'll put the question mark there as a placeholder. PDO we use as placeholders. Then after that we need to bind that saying okay, this placeholder needs to get this value. So we're saying get above Visual School, then we have to bind that parameter, bind param. Okay, so in binding that, we're saying on placeholder number 1, where there's a question mark, we need to put ID there. Okay, so now let's define this ID. What ID are we looking for? We're looking for ID number 2. Okay, actually to make it better, let's pass the ID. We can use the same to get different values from that column. So let's just pass ID from there. So whenever we're calling from the pages, we'll refer which ID should we pass to this one. Okay, after that is done, we need to execute it so that it should run through the database to get the information. We should execute the statement. After we've executed the statement, we need to check if it has some rows back or not. So let's say if we're checking if get above Visual School, then we can utilize the function which is row count to count the rows that are returned. If it's greater than 0, it means there's something back from the database. It has some information, then which is good. So we need to get that information and store it into a variable. So we're saying that, let's just call it rows, we should get above Visual School, and we need to fetch that. I need to fetch that information. So after fetching the information, we need to keep it in a variable called rows. For us to use this, we need to return this so that we can use it wherever we want, the value, whatever it's in the variable rows. So we say return rows. From this part, we good. Now, this will go to the database and get the information. But we need to call this function on this page, the index page, so that it should go and talk to the database and pull the information for us. To do that, we have to modify the index.php page. So I'll do this. So I'll go to index.php page. Then now we need to link this page to the function page. Remember, the function page is depending on the connect.php, but now the user interface pages will connect to the functions.php. This is our middleman. Whatever we need to do from the pages to the database, we have to go through this middleman. So we need to connect this middleman to all these pages. So for the index.php page, let me do that. I'll introduce the PHP tags there. Then I'll say include ones. I'll include the folder for this is what? Logic inside this function.php. Okay, so let me connect to the folder called logic. From the folder called logic, I'm looking for functions.php. Okay, we have connected to the functions.php, but now we need to get the call this function and class. Initiate this class school info and call this function get about Visual School. To do that, I'll say I'll use the same variable, but you can use anything else. Get about Visual School. You can use any variable there. Visual School info. Get above Visual School info or initiate the class the class was school info. All right, this class here, school info, yeah, not just school info. All right, now utilizing that, we can say get above which school. Now we call the actual function, which is this one, and it has a variable of ID. So let me just copy that and paste it there. Boom. Now we need to give it the ID. We need to give it value. So I'll just uh, assign the variable ID to value true, since we're saying from our database here we're looking for an ID which is equal to 2. So I'll pass it the value 2 from that side. So I'll pass it the value 2. Now I need to keep these in a variable called, let me call info. Let me just call the variable info. So everything we're getting from here, remember we said you should change the rows here, or whatever is returned here, it will be assigned to this variable info. So we use this variable info to display our information. Let's just refresh in case there are any errors. We should be able to see them. Yeah, well, they're saying unexpected info on line number 6 on index.php. So on line 6, because here we didn't put that to say that that's the end of the statement. So let's refresh. Okay, so we'll have another error here. The bit about this, you should read the line number they're telling you and the file that has a problem. So they're saying on functions.php on line 2 there's a problem, and the problem is we connect to connection string connect.php doesn't exist. So we need to rectify that. For us to do that, let's go to that line. They're talking about this line too. So it might be because we're in another folder. So to solve that, let me just say let me check if file exists before I use it. I'll use this function. If file exists, the name of the file, if it exists, then use it. If it doesn't exist, then don't use it. So check if it exists on this level. Let me check if it exists on that level first. If it exists on that level, what you need to do, include it there. Include it there. I'll do just an else there, but I can check another level. But I think these two levels. So else just include that one. Okay, we should be good. Yeah. So that is gone. So it means we're good. We can continue. But now we need to remove this and get the information from the database. So to do that, since we have kept let me go to index.php. We have kept this under info. It means I need to remove this. We need to replace this with that variable. So I'll remove this and I'll write my PHP there. I'll close the tag. I'll say echo. Now I'll echo that variable info, then get the title. Remember, from here we said we are selecting ID title. Now that part we need to fill with this title. So what I'll do is saying on that variable info, get title, because the variable info is containing all the information, the ID, the content, the title, and the YouTube link. So I just need the title there. Let's see if this is getting from there. Boom. You see, the title has changed. Welcome to Visual School 2, because in the database, we said welcome to Visual School 2. If I can change here, saying 3, it should reflect the same from the other end. Let me just execute it. Yeah, so I've changed 3 there. If I refresh from this side, boom, it's 3 there as well. Okay, let me just remove this 3 thing. Does it make sense? Yeah. So it'll just say welcome to Visual School. Boom, now it's working. Now we need to also to get this information from the database and the image from the database. To do that, we need to replace this with information from the database. So I'll say PHP, close the tag, I'll say echo, sorry. So I'll say echo info. When I'm making the info, I need to put now the content, because this is the field that what we need content. So I'll just remove this one. So that means that will pick from the database. For the image as well, I need to replace this with an image from the database. So I'll say echo info. On info now we're looking at YouTube link, though the name doesn't make sense. Like I said, we need to change it later. So it's a echo YouTube link. Okay. If I refresh, boom, this is coming from the database. Code 101, whatever. This is from the database. It's no longer static. So using the same principle, we can get information, all this about us information, using the same scenario. For us to do that, to get this information, we don't have to create another function. We can use the same function and just pass in the ID that contains this information about Visual School. This is on the About Us page. Well, remember, let me just go to our functions. Remember, it's saying this is getting from the table about Visual School. So all that information is also in the same table. The only difference is the IDs. So now to do that, we can just pass in ID 1 instead of 2, and we'll get that information from the database. Let's do that. Okay, so I'll just copy this, the top part, because it's similar. So I'll just say I'll copy that. Then I'll go to the About Us page. Then I'll just paste it on top there. Now, the only thing I have to change is the ID. Now we have to pass in 1, since we need to get that row, the first row. So just pass in 1. So it means this side, the title, it'd be similar, same things. Now we're just picking. Let me just copy it instead of typing again. It's almost the same. So about school. So here, that means we're putting the title from the database. The same with the content here. We're pulling that content from the DB. Come on. All right, so just press that thing there. I will just remove this thing. You see, boom. Now this will get our information from the database. You see, this is coming from the database. So that's how you can easily get the information from the database. Now I'll give you an assignment that you need to do using this the same way we've done with the index page here, pulling the information from the database on this part, getting this part from the database. I need you to do the same and pull this information. This we've already done. I'll put this information from the database, but I need you to pull all these images that should come from the database. Remember, we created a table called gallery. This table called gallery. See, it has images there. You can put more images there. Then you have to pull this information from the database and display it here instead of this being static. We need to pull this information from the database. If you're able to do that, it means you've got the concept. For you to do that, let me just give you a clue. You need to create another function that will pull this information. So from the functions table, you need to create another function here. Let me just write that. Let me just write the function name. The less you do it on your own, we can call it get gallery images. Okay, let's just call it that. Then so all your logic that you need to do, let me just put a comment here for put all your logic of getting images from database here. Okay, So that's what you need to do. You just need to write all that information here the way we've done here. The only difference would be the table name and the column names here, but the logic will be pretty the same. So once you've done that, that means you come to the gallery page. Here is gallery page. It means you have to connect this page to the functions page, then initiate that class, then get the images using the function that just created there. All right, people. I hope you'll be able to do it. If you're meeting challenges, let me know. I'll be able to assist. All right. Adios.